All right, welcome back to the LCP Digital Learning Channel. Today I want to talk about files, which if you use Google Drive is going to seem very familiar. The only difference is files is Apple's version of a management system. Google Drive is Google's version. And so as you can see on my iPad, I have actually both. And depending on what you do will change where you want to save these things. So I'm going to go into files. And the reason we're talking about this is something you want to address with your students right off the bat, is how are they going to organize all of that amazing work they're doing on their iPads this year. Now, a lot of the times, if you're using Google Classroom, that's already organized for them in Google. But if they're working in Keynote, Numbers, Pages, some of the things that are native to the iPad, they might want to use files because it's a lot easier for that iPad to use that information. So right now I'm in iCloud Drive. Now, be sure anytime that you're having the kids build, this is good for the teacher and the student. On this left-hand side, you want to make sure that you're in iCloud Drive, not on my iPad. If they save it locally on the iPad and the iPad breaks and we have to replace it, all of that information is gone. If it's saved in the iCloud Drive, that's saving out of the iPad into the drive so that they don't have to worry about losing it. So Apple already has Keynote, Numbers, Pages, Schoolwork, and then any other app that uses files will create its own file in here. But you can also create a file. So if I pull on this side down a little bit, you'll see a little plus folder. So depending on your teaching style, you can teach your kids to organize using the File app or utilize files within Keynote, Pages, or Numbers. And I'm going to show you both of those. So right now, let's talk about files. So I'm in Files. When I pull down, I could press this plus button, and maybe I want to do ELAR. And so now I have a file called ELAR. So anytime that I'm doing research for English language arts, if I find a PDF or a web page, I can actually save that to this file. Or maybe I am working in Keynote, Numbers, Pages, all three apps, but I have one project inside this ELAR folder. Pull down just a little bit, I could create another folder and title it the project that I'm doing. So maybe this would be poetry. So now within this folder, I could save keynotes about poetry, numbers about poetry, docs about poetry, or websites that I'm finding. So this is a way that I can organize if I'm just in the Files app, and then I could go back to Drive. So maybe you could have ELAR, Math, Science, Social Studies, any of those files. Go ahead and walk your kids through building those now. So as they work, they're putting those works into specific files so it's easier to find later on down the road. But maybe that's not how your brain works and you want to save things within each app. So let's go ahead and go to Keynote. I'll go to my presentations. Now, as you can see on my presentations, I already have some folders built. Now again, make sure on that left-hand side that you're in iCloud Drive, and then I'm going to go into Keynote. So for example, myself, my brain works, I have an LCISD folder. Inside of that folder, I've built C3s, digital books, things like that. But what you can do is, again, pull down on the screen a little bit, and you'll see a plus folder. So the kids could press plus and do math, return, and then they could build one for science, social studies, and ELAR. So that then when they're inside of their Keynote app specifically, they have a math, science, social studies. Or they could organize by units, right? So if you're learning about rainforest, they could create a folder called rainforest. So now I can go into this math folder, and then now when I press plus and I build, maybe I'm clocking the speed of a motorcycle, I can type and do my stuff right here. So now what I also want to teach my kids to do is up here where it says presentation, I'm going to save this immediately. So right now I'm just going to say delete this because I want to delete this for later. So now when I'm done, I have it labeled. So when I go back to my presentation, you can see what I've just built inside of my math folder. So when I go back now, I see that I have one item in math. So whatever way works for you in the classroom, it's going to be a great idea, not only in Google Drive, but also now either in the Files app or within Keynote, Pages, and Numbers. Make sure that you're teaching the kids how to start the year organizing all of their information using files or the file system within each app. Hope that quick tip was helpful. If you have any questions, reach out to your DLS or email help@lcisd.net.